This video is going to cover the topic of ordering rational numbers. Be sure the date and topic are at the top of your page. The essential question for this video is how do we order order integers and rational numbers? And we have talked about extending the number line, so we're going to take a few minutes to practice ordering numbers on a number line. We are often asked to order the numbers from least to greatest when we see a set of numbers, and that's so that we have some good number sense of where everything belongs in the grander scheme of numbers. So we're going to look at an example. I have the numbers here listed -12, 7, 0, -1, and 11. And to order these, let's first draw a number line. So I've drawn a number line, I put 0 in the center, and I extended my line in both directions. And now we'll graph the numbers on the number line. So I know that -12 is down here, so I've got that one taken care of. I know that 7, this is a positive 7, unless it says otherwise. So the 7 is between 6 and 8, right here. Of course, 0 is right there. -1 is going to be right there between 0 and -2, and 11, a positive 11, is right there. So now I have these on the number line, and when we read a number line, the integers to the left are always smaller than the integers to the right. So therefore, if I want to know what the correct order from least to greatest is, I just have to read this number line from left to right. So it looks like -12 came first, then -1, 0, 7, and then 11. And I have rewritten these here in order of least to greatest because the ones on the left are less than the ones to the right. This is our second example, and when I look at this, I notice that all the integers this time are negative. So we have to think about how we would order these from least to greatest. And it can be a bit confusing because we might think that 20 would be the largest, right? But we have to think about what the negatives mean. So of course, a negative means that the number is less than 0. And it also is kind of funny because the higher the number looks, when it's negative, the further it is below 0. Which means, of course, that if it looks larger and it's further from 0, it's actually smaller. And we can kind of put that in context, right? Because if these were temperatures, -8 degrees Fahrenheit, perhaps, would be cold. It would be 8 degrees below 0. But -20 degrees Fahrenheit would be even colder, and it's even further below 0. So let me place these on a number line. And since all my numbers are less than 0, I just kind of focus my number line on the left-hand side. So I'm going to go ahead and plot these, right? Here's -15, which is in between -14 and -16. Here's -10, -20, -8, and -12. And now I have them all lined up, and remember, right, the numbers to the left are smaller than the numbers to the right. So that means that I would have -20 is the smallest, -15 would be next, -12, -10, and then finally -8. And this would be my numbers ordered from least to greatest. In our next example, we're going to include some non-integers, so rational numbers that have fractions and decimals. And just when we got comfortable with integers, we also need to be able to get comfortable with rational numbers that are not whole. So for example, this, right, has a fraction, and a decimal. So they're rational numbers here. I'm still going to use my strategy of sketching a number line to put these in order from least to greatest. Since my numbers don't look too large, I'm going to spread this number line out a bit so it's easier for me to include some fractions. So I have my 0 in the middle, and I just went to -4 and +4. So the first number we have is 1.5, and of course that would be between 1 and 2, right? Right in between 1 and 2. So I'm going to go ahead and put that there, between 1 and 2. The next one is negative, and it's -5/6, which if it were positive, would be between 0 and 1, right? But since it's a -5/6, it's going to actually be between 0 and -1, right? So I'm going to go to 0 and -1. It's a little bit closer to -1, so I'm going to mark it right around there. -2, I know is just straight there. -2, 0 is no trouble for me. -3.5, sometimes people put these in the wrong spot. So -3.5 is between -3 and -4, right? Just like +3.5 would be between 3 and 4. So I'm going to find that between -3 and -4 right there. And of course, my 4 is nice and obvious right there. So now I've ordered my numbers on my number line, and I just need to write them down from left to right to have them in the right order. So -3.5 comes first. -2 is a little bit larger. -5/6, 0, 1.5, and 4. So that's it, right? I've ordered these in order from least to greatest. So I know that -3.5 is of course much smaller than a +4. And I'm going to leave you with another set to try on your own. So go ahead and write these in your spiral, and I want you to put them in order from least to greatest, right? So the number line is a nice, easy way to help you, hopefully. But remember that the essential question was, how do we order rational numbers? And so this, of course, includes fractions and decimals, positives and negatives. And a number line is a great way to do that. Be sure to bring your notes and any questions you have for class, and also to make sure that you have this last set completed on your own.